debates about affirmative action. So in a part of the article that people seem not to read, Kim says this. Interestingly, no case has been discovered in which a court denied a white man's attempt to bring a reverse discrimination claim on the grounds that his sex and race cannot be combined. White males in a typical reverse discrimination case are in no better position than black women in anti-discrimination cases. If they, white men, are required to make their claims separately, white men cannot argue race discrimination because white women are not discriminated against. They cannot argue sex discrimination because black men are not discriminated against. Yet it seems that courts do not acknowledge the compound nature of most reverse discrimination cases, that black women's claims automatically raise questions about compound discrimination and white women's do not, suggest that the notion.
The tagline disseminated and the war against critical race theory took off. No one wants a boogeyman near their kids, and certainly not in their classrooms. The operatives know this. Those fears got played up, and now along with the fear of trans kids taking over junior high handball, parents are fighting with school boards in cities and towns across the country over curricula that they believe teaches white kids that they are racist. None of this is actually happening. But who cares about a little old thing like the truth when you have the perfect campaign buzzword for 2022? It even has the magic word in it, race. And joining me now is Kimberlé Crenshaw, co-founder and executive director of the African American Policy Forum and the legal scholar who coined the term critical race theory. So it is your fault, madame. I tripped over the curb this morning and I went, critical race theory? Damn you! You tripped me on the car. It did it. It does everything bad. I mean, and the cicadas, y'all really need to stop with the cicadas critical race theory. That was not nice.
We can throw everything in the bag. Everything in the bag.
So I just wrote down a few of the notes of what people are calling critical race theory: Marxism, racism, bigoted. Let's start with the Marxism. That's their favorite one. They're using that every single time. And I hate to ask dumb questions, so please don't think that I'm dumb. Is critical race theory Marxism?
Look, you know what? Here's the thing, Joy. Critical race theory is not so much a thing. It's a way of looking at a thing. It's a way of looking at race. It's a way of looking at why, after so many decades, centuries, actually, since the emancipation, we have patterns of inequality that are enduring. They are stubborn. And the point of critical race theory originally was to think and talk about how law contributed to the subordinate status of African Americans, of indigenous people, and of an entire group of people who were coming to our shores from Asia. And the point was, quite frankly, to understand the problem in order to intervene in it, to understand why the greatest hopes for our republic were not being realized, even though these hopes were encoded in law. So critical race theory just inherits the beliefs and the hopes of Frederick Douglass, of Martin Luther King, who basically want the law to do for the freed people what the law did for enslavers. And we picked that up in the 70s and 80s after the civil rights movement to say, okay, so now we've had this big civil rights movement. We have all these laws in the books, but things really aren't looking as different as they should if we are really the society that we say we are. So we put about the task of understanding how law wasn't just the neutral referee. Law wasn't always on our side. In fact, law was less on our side than for on our side. And we wanted to tell these stories in order to do better with the promises that are embedded in the Constitution. That's what's in critical race theory.
So is critical race theory, is there a K through 12 curriculum that right now is being taught? I'm sorry, I know it's a dumb question, but is there a K through 12 curriculum on critical race theory that's being taught in schools around this country?
Well, look, Joy, if it was news to most Americans that critical race theory was in K through 12, it was news to me, too. I'm one of the co-authors of one of the few books on critical race theory. I think I would know if we were being taught in K through 12. I mean, basically, critical race theory, classic critical race theory is a law school course, and it's really, not taught as widely as I would hope it would.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. This is not about whether anything called critical race theory is in K through 12. What they're calling critical race theory doesn't exist anyway. It is a backlash effort to reverse the racial reckoning unlike any we've seen in our lifetime. And as you pointed out at the beginning, they can't say, we're for racism. They can't say Derek Chauvin should have killed George Floyd with his hand in his pocket, looking like he was completely without a care in the world. They couldn't say that. So they looked around and found a strange sounding theory that they could put all of the grievances and resentments in and mobilize people around this boogeyman. And if our side can't really understand what's going on, it's going to work. It's worked in the past. It worked to end Reconstruction, and it can work to end this reckoning too.
And a gentleman named Christopher Rufo, who's very vigorously requested to be on the show. We're gonna take him up on it and let him come on this week and invite him on. He literally said, we've successfully frozen their brand, critical race theory, into the public conversation and are steadily driving up negative perceptions. We will eventually turn it toxic as we put all the various cultural insanities under that brand category. To wit, Fox News has mentioned critical race theory nearly 1,300 times in the past 3.5 months. And we've now discovered that a lot of these parents that are showing up at school boards, inveighing against their children being taught that they're, racist, turns out they are actually Republican activists, not just regular old parents.
Big surprise there, right?
Yeah.
Employ the concept of colorblind intersectionality to demonstrate the extent to which whiteness operates as an intersectional subjectivity, but is unmarked as such. I think we need to lift up whiteness and demonstrate the ways in which it's doing intersectional work so that it doesn't travel as a race-neutral baseline. In closing, I want to suggest that it's crucial for us to continue to think about intersectionality's genealogy in Black feminists. Clearly, that's important. It's crucial for us to think as well about intersectionality and the degree to which it continues to map intersecting dimensions of power and intersection dimensions of identity. But I want to suggest that if we fail to realize intersectionality's roots in critical race theory and the extent to which it is a branch of critical race theory, then we lose the opportunity to understand some of the crucial interventions that it's performed not only in law, but in politics and social practices as well. Thank you.
So it's really a dreamy moment to be on this panel with thinkers and colleagues that I've worked with for decades. And at the same time, it's kind of sobering to think that I've been in league with some of them for 4 decades. So let me start with Mari Matsuda. So Mari is, she used the word herself, a CRT and Intersectionality OG. She was a posse member from the very beginning. She was there in the days before we even called ourselves critical race theorists. She literally staged with several of us a protest at the very seat of elite legal education. That galvanized a set of events in the 80s, namely the student of color-led boycott against Harvard Law School's refusal to recruit scholars of color, saying that there were none in the country who were qualified to come there and teach, and a refusal to teach Derek Bell's courses. That was just after the first time Derek left Harvard Law School. And these refusals led to our eventual self-declaration as an offshoot of critical legal studies. We discovered ourselves to be critical theorists who did race, and we were racial justice advocates who did critical theory. So Mari was one of the very few who knew the truth when in 1987, I sent out a call to attend a retreat called New Developments in Critical Race Theory. Only she, Neil Gatanda, Chuck Lawrence, and maybe a handful of other people knew that there were no new developments in critical race theory because CRT hadn't had any old ones. It didn't exist. It was made up as a name. Sometimes you got to fake it until you make it. Then, after about a decade of teaching CRT and intersectionality as boutique courses at UCLA, the 90s brought a new blood, literally, to the posse, Devin Carbato, who single-handedly enhanced the output of CRT by about 500%. In less than a decade, together with our colleagues at UCLA, we established the Critical Race Studies program. It's now the largest, most popular program in the school. Now, the third decade brought Danny Hosang into my viewfinder. I met him through George Lipsitz, and later we collaborated on Race Across the Disciplines, a project. And now recently we've published together with George and Luke Harris, Seeing Race Again, Colorblindness Across the Disciplines. Now, this third decade commenced a period of profound engagement with critical race theory across the academy, particularly in pursuit of the question of how colorblindness functions as both a means to deny the foundational role of race in the disciplines, and also as a means to undermine the legitimacy of the production of counter-narratives to that history. And then finally, the fourth decade brought opportunities and challenges raised by CRT and intersectionality to engage more fully in the public sphere, particularly through partnerships with academics, artists, and activism campaigns such as Why We Can't Wait, Black Girls Matter, and Say Her Name. So critical thinking in the public arena and in the arts were key themes of an event organized by Kiese Lehman, in which I had the pleasure of thinking out loud with Imani Perry. So if I do nothing more than thank all of them and all the others in this room for their brilliance and camaraderie over these decades, and that might be the most meaningful thing I say right now, I will be satisfied. But we have been asked to task to say something more about CRT and intersectionality, particularly its relevance to political and legal and cultural formation. So I'll say a few words, and actually I want to just start with a counter story. A few years ago, I sat in an audience in which the panelists were discussing intersectionality, and one might call it a preview of the intersectionality wars that was apparently on the horizon, taking into account what some people were saying about intersectionality. Now, a lot of the claims were contestable, although they said some of these claims were implicated in this intersectional project. I have to say I was sometimes surprised to be cited for some of the claims that I found rather shocking. So I decided to kind of look into, well, who said some of these claims, and was even shocked again to find out apparently I had. So then I decided to try to investigate when I had lost my mind. And I really went down the footnote trail, and I finally found in the end that the claim was attributed to me by someone who had heard an account by yet another someone of a talk that I had given a year or so before. So Barbara Tomlinson calls this a kid's game of intersectional telephone. Yet the fact that it's practiced at this sort of high level is disturbing. But that's not what really caught my attention. What really caught my attention was the last claim that one of the panelists made. She said something to the effect that it was unfortunate indeed that a conceptualization that was so valuable and generative, such as intersectionality, had emerged out of the law. Now, I'm not given to defending home turf. I'm not a person that says, you know, I got my team law sweatshirt on. But the comment really gave me flashbacks to other conversations that I had over the years that were puzzling, like the time that the German feminists complained that such a promising theory was wanting for lack of having some kind of recognizable methodology. Or the time when other feminists framed intersectionality as a grand theory and then critiqued it for not acting like a grand theory. Or another time when a debate with a feminist in political in science argued a point with me and said that I really should familiarize myself with critical legal studies and its critique of rights. Of course, CRT grew out of CLS and its critique of rights. So these moments, and they're just a few, really drove home the point that the common roots of intersectionality and critical race theory, as Devin just pointed out, are widely underread and under-realized. Now, one of the goals that I've been pursuing in collecting my essays on intersectionality has been to make plain how my own thinking about intersectionality is inseparable from critical race theory, which is in turn grounded in unmasking the particular lessons that law has to offer to anyone seeking to understand the various ways that power is constituted, rationalized, and insulated in society. Intersectionality was, from my vantage point, a Black feminist adaptation of the tools of critical legal studies, mobilized to uncover law's rationalizing role through its engagement with Black women. So intersectionality consequently was a product of Black feminism and critical legal race theory. It was about Black women, but was not only about Black women. It was situated in the separate juridical regimes attending to white supremacy and patriarchy, but its insights are not limited to those regimes. It's articulated to draw attention to difference and how difference was mobilized to excuse juridical erasure, but the goal was never to just celebrate difference per se, but to expose and disrupt how difference masks operations of power. Now, needless to say, disciplinary and temporal contexts contain important nuances that don't always travel side by side with a word or a term. In fact, the full-on reversals of intersectionality's transformative aspirations couldn't be more clearly reflected than in the use by what I've called now the anti-intersectionality intersectionalists. These are the straight, cisgender, white male critics of intersectionality who have taken up a new intersectional turn in articulating their contemporary grievances. Intersectionality, unmoored and gentrified, it seems, can be for new bodies. Needless to say, much of this current circulation about intersectionality really isn't about intersectionality. And I've suggested before that I think college campuses and the disciplines will be the new frontier in wars that used to be called other things, like the culture wars, and many other euphemisms for the question that Devin put, which is whether our presence and our bodies and our ideas in rarefied places like these remains suspect. The holy grail to many of our critics on the right is to return to a time before our arrival, before critical race theory, before intersectionality, feminist, queer theory, colonial theory complicated the story of American exceptionalism. Now, my colleagues and I have argued in colorblindness across the discipline that our capacity to mobilize effectively against this onslaught rests on creating transdisciplinary practices, sharing critical tools that each of our disciplines can provide, while at the same time unearthing the stories that reveal how knowledge production has been and continues to be a critical arena to contest social power. Now, Devin and Mari have brilliantly done precisely that with respect to critical race theory, and Imani has pulled into that how it travels across society and across discipline. I want, in a final few moves, to just sketch a direction that my thinking is going now, and I'm trying to think about it as regrounding intersectionality in critical race theory. What would that look like? How do we know if we've recaptured a version, image of intersectionality that is more deeply rooted in its origins? And I want to use the example of, I've been talking about it and can't stop, My Brother's Keeper. I talked about it last year. I'm going to talk about it again in this way. Many of you know My Brother's Keeper was basically President Obama's social justice initiative designed to draw attention to those who he said were most left behind, and that was Black boys, later expanded to include all boys of color. Now, it it was justified by the metrics that purported to show that on all measures, black boys are worse off than black girls. Now, the deficit contributing to this crisis is not surprisingly fatherlessness, the absence of male role models. Yet all of the measures that are frequently used to prove this are off the mark. For example, nearly 80% of the claims that were made on behalf of this male-exclusive, single-access definition of racism apply to girls as well as boys. Moreover, the social economic consequences of the single-headed households in which black women are the sole earners would seem to warrant more policy attention than the trickle-down efforts to create Ozzie and Harriet in black America. So much of this rhetoric should be familiar, but what's less familiar is the way that law contributes to the naturalized claims that single-headed households are naturally worse off, so that the narrative of black boy endangerment returns to naturalizing the baseline of patriarchy. Now, a critical race theory and intersectional approach might posit other stories, another narrative, revealing first how the behavioral rather than structural approach to inequality is a damning post-racial concession to years of right-wing dismantling of any constraints on racial power. Now, the fact that even Moynihan was more conversant about the need for structural change and a massive job program than Obama's MBK's focus on charity speaks volumes to the way that post-racialism conceded the Supreme Court's repudiation of any claim that societal discrimination could or should be addressed. But even if we take up a structural critique without a searching analysis of the way patriarchy intersects with white supremacy to create these disadvantages that are associated with bad mothers, without this intersectional analysis, it leaves those mothers framed as unruly, as the source of pathology, as people in need of discipline and rescue rather than resources and autonomy. So black women are now conscripted into the all-purpose signifiers of a community out of control. Single black mothers in particular are targets of demonization and political abandonment, even by those that they have supported and have elected. So fundamental to this is the role of stereotypes and baselines. And here's my one example, and I'll shut up. Consider Kelly Williams Bolar. Now, she was written by Tricia Rose. She was the single black mother who was arrested and charged with grand theft for enrolling her 2 children in her father's neighboring school district. Now, the court made efforts to frame her as a thief. Basically, she was charged with a felony. She stole educational resources. What I want to draw attention to is that characterizing her as a thief turns not on the intrinsic quality of what she did, but the normative baselines against what she did it. So a classic example from slavery might illustrate this. When people ran away, they were accused of theft. They were stealing themselves away. There's a spiritual about it. Steal away to Jesus. That's how people knew, Harriet Tubman was coming. Come steal yourself away. Now, running away under a different baseline, if freedom was the baseline, if freedom was constitutionalized, running away wouldn't have been called theft. It would have been called self-help. It would have been called liberation, okay? So for Williams Bolar to be accused of theft, it's basically saying that the baselines under which she was forced to live, her structural embodiment, the constraint around her life, that was natural and defensible, right? And her trying to self-liberate, that was the crime. Critical race theory draws attention to all the elements of that structural constraint. right? It's not just that she was poor. That wasn't just a natural consequence. It was the way that law structured who's responsible for child rearing and who's not. The way law structured who is an employee and what does an employee look like with respect to child rearing. The way law structures neighborhoods, the way law structures zoning, the way law structures school financing. These are all elements of a racialized and gendered world that critical race theory drew attention to, and intersectionality extended it into the construction of patriarchy and its feminization of child rearing. So the point is that if we go back to trying to reconstitute intersectionality in critical race theory, in a radical feminism, we're not talking about identity politics. And we're not talking about structures without looking at how people embedded in them are differentially situated. So intersectionality is both and it is the both and that we need to attend ourselves to if we have any hope of meeting this moment with a disciplinary project that really is transdisciplinary and one that moves across the disciplines and also across societies. So I'm going to stop there. Thanks.
Well, I thought before we open it up, I might ask Mari, Devin, and Imani to engage a little bit with the last 3 points that Kim kind of took us through. In particular, this return to some of the commitments in demarginalizing, one calling our attention to a form of anti-racism that isn't animated by feminist commitments, and what we lose when that becomes the dominant politics. The second is the ways that liberal formations, liberalism and liberal rights, often do all of this work of legitimating violence and hierarchy, as in My Brother's Keeper. It's not just, right, it's not just the conservatives and kind of self-defined racists. It's the liberals that are often doing that work. And the third is attention to baselines and the work that needs to be done to expose their own complicity in formations of power. So I wanted to invite you to kind of take up some of those in your work, perhaps. I think especially through the notion that critical race theory is always done through this dialogue of people picking up on one another's work. So how might you, or how are you thinking about that in your own work today?
Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, this is something, but one of the things that it just occurred to me that I think actually is a kind of disciplinary, perhaps misinterpretation, and what your point about transdisciplinarity is really well taken. I think it's really important is that I wonder to what extent those outside of critical race theory actually understand it as a materialist argument. And much in the way, right, so that there's a kind of immediate understanding that Marxism is rooted in economics, but not a companion understanding that critical race theory vis-a-vis the law is a materialist analysis of the way in which the law structures domination. And so in the absence of that, right, the claim making, right, or the argumentation can be, I think, misapprehended, right? If the argumentation is seen as actually a capitulation to the law as such, as opposed to an extension of the structure of critique.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add a few thoughts. I mean, one is part of our struggle as critical race theorists has been to contest the conception of law that says law merely reflects pre-existing social arrangements. This is a really problematic way to think about power. That is to say, the notion seems to be that there is a real space for power and it's out there and then it gets reflected in law, instead of thinking about the